If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option, as Sori says. $125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. $125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at insori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go on the village, facebook.com/Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed. A child shall lead them.
To buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. We are in the midst of covering some songs for the OG of OGs.
True.
You know what it is.
DJ
you know what
My
it is.
Insanity.
DJ Mike. Yeah. My Insanity, not Mike Insanity.
No.
My Insanity.
But who knows? Maybe his name really is Mike.
Insanity. Right.
We have met a number of insane Mikes.
Very well done. Very well done.
All right.
Come on down. Stop on by.
Come over here.
You don't even know where that came
Next
from.
time, Mr.FoX. I thought you were making it up right now, so.
No, that's in Aladdin, the opening scene.
Oh,
the
yeah.
guy's selling him the souk, and he goes, "Come on down, step on by."
Yeah, when he's selling all the stuff.
Yeah. He's like, "What?
I
This
like
lamp?
that
This
side.
lamp?
I like that part.
This lamp? No, we're not talking about this lamp." All right, continue.
Next time, Mr.FoX, the name of the song is Mother. Let's check it out.
Boy, I'll tell you what. There's this movie called Mother that me and Sori saw, and it was like one of the.
You know what? That was kind of horror-ish.
It was a horror show, but it was probably one of the most brilliant movies we've seen in our short lives. All right, here we go.
Watching movies with Vin when they're like that is crazy, because he always pulls out something that you're like, what? Was it that deep?
It was. All right, guys, here we go.
I'm sending you the lyrics.
Next, I already have the lyrics up there.
Okay, good.
Mr.FoX Mother official video. Let's do it. Woo-hoo-hoo! Mercy rain upon us.
That's what he said.
That was the band.
Next time, Mr.FoX.
Next time, Mr.FoX.
Mother.
Madre. Okay. Man, this was deep. This is a deep song. Go ahead.
No, let's dive in together.
Well, what do you think the song is about, Missy?
I missed a lot of the lyrics. Now that you forced me to say that out loud.
What do you mean you missed a lot of the lyrics? What do you mean by that? What excuse are you trying to make for our studio audience?
Well, I don't know if you remember, you said you were good on the lyrics, and then partway through you asked for them. So when I was copying them, I can't read them while I'm copying and sending them. Mercy reign upon us was crazy when he whispered that part. Because I didn't hear the word mercy, and obviously I couldn't see it. But I was like, what did he say? And then you were like, that's mercy reign upon us. And I'm glad you said it right then, because I had the sound in my head of him kind of whisper saying that. Obviously it started out talking, I know it was talking about mother, and I wasn't sure if it had a Mary reference, but then it talked about mother. Why would you betray your children? Not clipping their wings will allow them to fly.
Not clipping their wings will what?
Will allow them to fly. If they fly too high, they may touch the sun, which obviously that's Icarus. And mercy merges with blood as it rains on us. Okay, so martyrize your sons. What does martyrize mean?
To turn your child into a martyr, I'm assuming.
Like Abraham did at the dawn of time.
Yeah, because he mentions Abraham.
Yeah.
Like
right,
Abraham did at the dawn of time. Make them the bricks of the rotten world, gasping breaths of life. Suppress the dreams, and the dreamer will fall back in line. Bury them deep. Spread salt on their grave every night. Okay.
What's going on?
Makes a lot of sense. So God tells Abraham to sacrifice his only son, Isaac.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because at the Bible Boogie, we're dealing with Genesis or whatever, and we've known these stories millions of times. So I tell the passage, and then I give my wonderful interpretation, and then one of them's like, I don't see it that way at all.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? And I have found that the binding of Isaac is in that category.
100%.
It's interesting. I saw we used to have, it was Hercules, and then it was Xena Warrior Princess. And sometimes they would do a crossover between Xena and Hercules. And there was one episode where I think it was Zeus or whoever was telling somebody else that they had to sacrifice their kid.
Oh. Okay.
And Xena was like, I'm going to stop this, blah, blah, blah. And then I think Hercules or something was like, well, I mean, why would we do that? She's like, what do you mean? We have to stop this from happening. And Hercules was like, why? Why do we need to stop it from happening? It's just a weird thing to see, because it was like, it just looked like such a real world conversation. But you could just tell with Hercules, he didn't understand why there was.
What do you mean a real world conversation? In what situation would?
Well, because you've got a guy that's mega devoted to his, what if, for example, when Abraham went to sacrifice Isaac, if the wife would have woken up? That's what I mean by it's a real life conversation, because Xena was saying there's no God that would tell you to sacrifice your child, and if he did, then he's not worthy to be worshipped, right? Mm-hmm. And so the binding of Isaac is an extremely controversial topic for people who are not Christians.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that surprised me.
Even Christians have a hard time with it. Not all of them, but
I never had a problem with that one. Because
I didn't until I did.
God stopped it and shut it down.
Yeah. And Abraham said, in the New Testament, it kind of gives you insight into what was going on. And it says that basically Abraham knew, even if what's gone through with, God would raise him from the dead. And I remember telling somebody that, and they said, yeah, does that mean Isaac doesn't have the trauma of his father sacrificing him if he gets raised from the dead?
Well, Isaac wasn't 4 at the time. He was in his mid-20s at the time. He was the one that was carrying all the wood from the bottom mountain to the top. So that's such an interesting story, though, because here's Isaac. You've got a father taking his son to be sacrificed, and the stage on which this kid Isaac was going to be sacrificed, he had to carry it.
And it was up a mountain.
He was carrying
the instrument of his death to a degree. And so as Christians, we go, well, when have we seen this element where somebody gives their only son and walks him up about a mountain while he has to bear the yoke of the instrument of death itself? He walks up the mountain with the Father, and then he's got the knife up there, and then Jesus shows up and says, chill, chill, chill. It says, do not harm the young man. Is what Jesus said. Don't harm the young man. He said, now I know that you fear God, blah, 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 because you did not withhold from me your son, your only son, which is very, very interesting because it says the angel of the Lord showed up. That's why I said Jesus. It was Jesus. And he says, and the angel says, don't harm the boy. Now I know that you fear God because you haven't withheld from me your only son.
Yeah.
So it's just like, Trinity, hello.
Yeah.
You've got this guy named the angel of the Lord who's calling somebody else God, and then he goes back to a personal pronoun.
Yeah.
Craziness.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that concept, that story to me was always so beautiful because Abraham is about to plunge the knife in the dude's chest and then somebody stops him. But when Jesus is walking up to be crucified, Jesus had asked the Father if there's any way that this could happen without my dying. That would be great, very convenient. And the Father said, no, you don't get Vinny unless you go to the cross. And then Jesus said, well, then I'm going to the cross because I want Vinny. So he willingly bore the instrument of his death in the same way that Isaac willingly bore the instrument of death. He was led up there by his Father in the exact same way Jesus was led up there by the Father. As a matter of fact, it says specifically in the Upper Room Discourse where Jesus says to the disciples, he says, the Romans are coming, it's going to be bad. And then he says, you will leave me all alone. And then he says, but I am not alone.
Yeah.
So literally the Father's walking Jesus up to the instrument, and then here comes the knife to get plunged into Jesus, and nobody said stay your hand. Nobody said spare the young man. God said let it happen. So for me, the binding of Isaac is such a beautiful story because God takes us to the very edge. He says, do you want to see what it's like to be me? He takes him to the very edge, but then he gets rescued at the last second. And God is telling us, nobody rescued my boy, though. Mm-hmm. So, I understand what's going on here. Martyrize your sons like Abraham did at the dawn of time. Because what's happening is, the context is Abraham was about to do this horrible thing to his child, or to his son, even if his son was a developed 20-year-old or whatever. He was about to do that because of his religion. He would never have conceived of and
especially because it was the child in their own old age. So if you think okay, that was, Sarah, when it waited all that time, she was beyond the time to have a child, and this child of promise comes to them. It's like your rainbow baby in a sense, but different because you waited so long. And the other thing too is I noticed that the way that I am with our littlest kids is different because I'm older now. So I don't think things are as big of a deal. And then there are other things that I'm like, I would have let that slide, but I do see something negative in his future if he keeps up with that. You know what I mean? You just look at things differently. So I'm sure that Abraham, Isaac must have been the real apple of his eye,
And there's a reason that Abraham has no discussion with his wife about it.
I wonder if Sarah,
it says he woke up the first thing and he bounced out of there.
Yeah.
Was Ishmael born before or after the attempted sacrifice of Isaac?
Before.
He was born before.
Long before.
Which makes the reason he's asking that is because God shows up and says, you haven't withheld your son, your only son from me. And Isaac was not his only son. Mm-hmm. But when have you heard that term before? Only son.
Jesus.
God so loved the world that he gave his only son. Whoever believes in him should not perish but have eternal life. And so God is using that term only son to Abraham, even though Abraham did not already had a son. Mm-hmm. Because it wasn't about Abraham. Abraham was a stand-in for God. The wood of the sacrifice was a stand-in for the cross, and Isaac was a stand-in for Jesus. And so that's what was going on. There are these patterns in the Bible, and it's called typology.
Yeah.
And we're going to get into it, the Bible boogie. It's going to be very interesting to see how people react to that.
You remember, so after Isaac doesn't get sacrificed, there's a ram.
There was a ram in the thicket. Yeah.
Was it does it say thicket or was it caught in the thorns?
I mean, it's thicket is a bunch of thorns, right? It's just
Not. I don't
whatever.
know. A thicket I thought was just like a thick bunch of bushes, but it would be an interesting like addition
Thorns,
if he was
yeah.
caught in the thorns.
Yeah.
So caught in the curse. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay. All right. Let me go back to the lyrics here.
Okay.
Okay, so then he says, but then he goes back to make them the bricks of the rotten world, gasping breaths of life. Suppress the dreams, and dreamers will fall back in line. Suppress the dreams, and dreamers will fall back in line. Bury them deep, spread salt on their grave every single night. What is with the salt on the grave thing?
That's what you do to deal with the, well, one, with the smell, and two, with the...
Oh, they did? They put salt on the...
Yeah, you salt the area. And sometimes you'd salt the field so nothing would ever grow again.
Right, yeah, I'm familiar with that.
So I think what's happening here is he blames his mother, because he accuses his mother of betraying him. He blames his mother for not being supportive of his dreams, because he literally talks about dreams there. And
But when he talks about betrayal, he's saying she betrayed him by clipping his wings.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think he blames her religion for that, is what I'm saying.
Oh.
So, just like God, just like Abraham was about to kill his child because
Yeah.
of his religion, he's
Yeah.
saying that you, Mom, we're gonna sacrifice me for your religion. You wouldn't support me in something that was so important to me, etc., etc. So
Oh.
right?
Okay, so when he's saying, "Mother, save him," don't lie to him, don't look in his eyes, just let him cry. Is he saying you shouldn't have babied me so much?
Where's that? What did he say?
Right there, "Mother, save him." Don't lie to him, don't look in his eyes, just let him cry. Mother, save him.
Well, this is kind of a sensitive subject, but there's that whole let him cry it out thing. Let the kid cry it out. Don't go to him and comfort him. Let him cry it out. Looks like to me.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think that there's a certain age where you have to, like, kind of...
Go ahead.
It's not, I wouldn't say, like, age. I think that there's a certain level, like, where you can tell, like, okay, you have to let them work through something where you always want to come and sweep them up and save them and fix the problem. But then there are other things where it's like, okay, this is a legitimate thing that needs to be, like, they need the extra support. It's that balance of, like, giving them the love and the support on some of the instances that will help carry over for the ones that they have to learn to internally, because we all know that you're not going to have somebody, mommy's not going to comfort you all your life. You're going to go through your own dark nights, and you have to have that like that strength of that internal strength, or that strength in, we on Christ, Jesus, that firm foundation there to get you through those dark nights. But part of parenting is doing that. It's like giving them, sometimes I'll see them. I met this person that was, they were from a really, I can't remember where the person came from. I thought it was some portion of Russia or something like that. But wherever they were, there was, it was a really hard living where they were. And the kid fell, and nobody rushed over, like the mom and the dad, like, didn't rush over to pick up the kid, and other people were like, well, geez, and the mother was like, nope, like, leave him, like, he has to get, like, that strength. And I was like, wow, that's really good. But then when you get kids of your own, you realize that you have to balance that. You can't always just let them, like, friggin' pick yourself up, kid. Like, there has to be the empathy from, like, empathy given is empathy that can be given. So if you like, I was at the playground with the kids, and there was a little girl that obviously they came from, and it was funny because, like, the two families were both at the playground, and my boys were younger than her, than this other boy, but my boys were stronger on all of the stuff. They were like, oh, don't go on that, you're gonna get hurt. But our kids were just, monkey barring and doing all kinds of, like, jumping off stuff, hand in the air, looking like a superhero. Like, there's a lot of, like, strength that they have. And even they noticed, they were like, your kids are really strong. But then her kids were really, they were soft in the sense of, like, they weren't as strong as my boys, but they were softer in the sense of empathy. They were, like, more empathetic. Like, I had a burn on my arm, that was like healing, and the little girl was like, "What happened to your arm? Are you okay?" And like,
Yeah.
like, you know, our kids would be like, "Look at that battle scar, yeah!" Like they did that one time. They look at that battle scar,
I mean, they're
Mom.
boys.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, no, hers was a boy too. Like
Oh, okay.
it was boys to boys, and they were all the same age. Theirs was 5, and we have a 5-year-old and 3-year-old. But it was just interesting to see, like, okay, you can tell that, you know, there's some strength coming, but then there's empathy over here, and so there's always a balance, because you want your kids to be, you know, you want to have both. But there are moms that will just coddle their kids into a destroyed life. We've seen it.
Why'd you betray your children? Not clipping their wings will allow them to fly, and they fly too high. They may touch the sun, and mercy merges with blood as it rains on us. That's a good one. He's saying, well, look, if there's a gracious God, right? Let me make a mistake. He'd forgive me, right? And that's a very dangerous way to interpret the concept of grace. But in this particular situation, it looks valid to me, because this is one of these, you know, overbearing mothers, you know, these Oedipal concept, you know, these Oedipus complexes or whatever. I forgot what which direction we're going in, but like, you got a lot of parents, and it's crazy because, like, we talk about our parenting styles a lot, and my parenting style versus Sori's and whatever, and I used to go hard after Dorian because he had so many talents and things like that, and there were a couple mindset issues that needed to get fixed, and it looked a little hairy. But a lot of it was all designed to, when you become an adult. Yep. And he hit me up yesterday. He's like, I officially have a Roth IRA. And I'm like, damn, like, we did it. You know, like, we really, really did that shit. Like, he's a functional, 18 years old. Yeah. Like, working for and with literally the most powerful people in the world. It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And so, like, as a parent, you have a lot of responsibility, and it is not simple. Like, for example, he's talking about the rotten world, gasping breath of life, suppress the dreams, and the dreamers will fall back in line, right? Like, so I've been on both sides of the aisle there, in the sense that when you're an adult, you know what it takes to survive in the real world.
That's the thing, yeah.
Your kid, though, wants to make something of himself or herself and eke out her identity apart from you. Mm-hmm. And so that's where, like, the conflict comes in, especially if your kid wants to be an artist, like a musician or something like that. Or even being a YouTuber, right? Like, you know, people think that, oh, you just there, get in front of a camera, you know, and then, you know, they get in the game for a week or two and they realize, like, nah, man, it's pretty difficult, actually. It's a really, really difficult thing to do. So, yeah. So you, as a parent, you're like, bro, the chances of you breaking 20,000 subs as a YouTuber are like 98% against you. Mm-hmm. So you got this, especially now with the technological gap and things like that. You have kids going to school with their friends being millionaires, like, literally, because they have crazy. A YouTube channel.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So this is actually happening. They don't know that that's the only kid in the entire state that has it like that. You know what I'm saying? But so they come home, they say they want to be a YouTuber. The parent thinks that they're crazy. Yeah. The parent's like, no, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this. And the kid's like, yo, I need a camera. And they're like, no, we're not going to buy you a camera. So it's like that conflict about, why are you trying to squash my dreams? Why don't you support me? It was funny because when we were talking about going to Florida, when we were up in Maine, and the two boys were talking about, yeah, we're going to be on the football team. It's going to be great. Blah, blah, blah. Oh. And I said, y'all, what? I said, y'all ain't doing nothing on the football team against them boys down there in Florida. I said, what? I said, do you realize, like, that's right in the heart of the SEC, the Southeastern Conference, which is populated with the most genetically superior.
And now we see, like,
physical specimens in the world.
There's a lot of not in Maine. You only have a small season where you can go out and actually do that. It's like 3 months. Yeah, that I was like, when I first started seeing you do that with the kids, I was like, wait, hold on, what?
I said, what?
Because we were taught, like,
I said,
you know,
what?
believe in your dreams, sort of. Well, I wouldn't say my parents were, like, all about that, but that was, like, the big thing, like, believe in your dreams, tell your kid, you know, sky's the limit, you can do anything that you want to do, and you're like, wait, what? You know you're not going to be able to. I was like, wait.
You know who really helped me with that?
Who?
You'll never guess. John MacArthur.
Why?
Because he literally said that from the pulpit. He's like, oh, you're going, you know, we're out here telling people they can be whatever they want, blah, blah. He's like, no, you can't. You can't be what are you talking about? No. So you can't be whatever
No,
you
he's
want.
right, though.
He's like,
he's
you're
right.
extremely limited. Like, you just be lucky that you know, you got food on the table, bro.
Yeah.
But, like, so when the boys were like, oh, yeah, we're going to play football, I said, I laughed at him. I said, you ain't going to do shit over there, boy. I said, listen, these people, their parent, there's a football in their crib, like, literally, when they come home from the hospital when they're born. Like, this is all these people have been doing. And then you guys are going to skirt around in Maine because we from Maine because we play catch in the
I was
back.
going to say we threw the
We
football.
play catch in the backyard and you're going to go compete with these kids. I'm like, man, them kids going to beat the hell out of y'all. Y'all ain't even going to you're not going to make the first cut in tryouts. And they're like, geez, Dad. Da, 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 da. I'm like, listen, if you truly want that, then from today, you'll run 2 miles a day, you'll do drills, blah, 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 to give yourself a fighting chance. Mm-hmm. But if you don't do that, you're gonna embarrass yourself. And it's really interesting because Dorian, bro, we're out there all the time.
I remember.
Dorian sat there, he did the analysis, and he's like, nah. He's like, fucking nah. It's like, no. Why do I want to be hit all the time and all the rest of it? He's like, nah. So I don't think he never played again. Never picked up the football again. And
I think you guys would loosely toss it around, but it never was.
It was never like it was before. And a lot of people would be like, "What a horrible
you
parent.
squashed his
You squared." But it's like, listen, man, Wayne Gretzky, basically the
well, he poured his time into political stuff.
No, he didn't. Wayne Gretzky, he's a hockey player. He's like the
no, I'm talking about Dorian. He didn't do the.
So Wayne Gretzky is the Michael Jordan of hockey. Obviously, I think he was born in Canada. Yeah, because he played for the Rangers, I think, but he was born in Canada. But anyway, Colin was telling this story about Gretzky's brother. They'd all come home from school, yada, yada, yada. And 11, 12 o'clock would hit. And he had this ritual if he had to go outside and he'd find his brother because Wayne would find whatever little pond or whatever. If it had ice on it, he'd be out there. And he was just shooting the puck over and over and over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. It's like, and Colin said, if you have to take your kid away from practice,
then
and you have another kid who you have to force to go to practice, right? And so,
yeah,
I'm like, he's like, the kid who, Wayne Gretzky, that was in him. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? And so to your point about Dorian, like, he just did the analysis and he's like, yeah, I'm not really passionate about the shit, but he's passionate about politics. You see what I'm saying? And he's been swimming in politics since he was 6, 7 years old, you know, with Hillary and all the rest of it. And so, like, that is his passion and that is something he does on his free time. And that is something where, like, we had to tell him, like, yo, chill out, slow down on that political stuff. Like, and now he's out there and he's just executing and he's living his dream. So if I would have done the bullshit parenting thing and be like, oh yeah, you can do whatever you want. Here's some M&M, you know, you can be anything you want to be, blah, 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 blah. It's like, nah, bro. No. I will say though, any of my kids, like I've got one kid that is super dedicated at doing the work for years and years relative to writing. And believe me, I know the writing, getting into that room is very, very difficult. But I guarantee you're going to be reading, or your kids are going to be reading my daughter's books. I guarantee you. Because she's doing the work. And nobody's telling her to do it. Anytime I see with this girl at any free time, she's got her hand in her shit writing. She's making us buy master classes and shit like that. And she's stacking it up for years.
Yes, she
So
has.
when it's time for her to pop, it's going to be over with.
Yep.
And I support her 100%. But, like, I think a lot of parents fuck up with that. Like, because they're like, is there a third way to speak realistically to your kids and tell them that you're worried about them being able to support themselves as adults while simultaneously giving them the dignity of saying, this is something I want to devote my life to? And if they've demonstrated with their actions and their habits that that's real, then of course I'm going to support you. But I do not think as a parent, it's supporting your child to give them false hope. And this is the reason why the dad and the mom is always calling the football coach, let my kid play, blah, 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 is because you gassed them up. It's just like the people, like the first couple seasons of American Idol was like this, where like you had people that genuinely could not sing, were horrible, and had no awareness because everybody around them told them they could sing.
Man.
And then they went to American Idol and they got,
There was one where you saw the parent went in there and was like telling the judge, like, "Are you serious?" I'm like,
folks
oh my
attempted
God.
suicide with in those situations, like from those shows.
Really?
Yeah.
Because they just believe.
So it's like, and obviously that has a lot of ramifications. Your kid comes home and tells you that he's XYZ. Are you going to go with it, or are you going to go with what reality is? I mean, there's a lot of difficult shit to navigate as a parent, and when you're a kid, it seems so simple. But like, yeah, I crushed the boys' football dreams. But Dorian immediately pivoted, and he threw himself 100% into his political stuff, and now he is where he was just in Alaska working for the governor to get the governor reelected. Decided he wanted to do that. Jumped on a plane, landed in New Hampshire. Same thing going. They're paying him. If his guy wins, then you know what's gonna happen there. So like, dude literally could be the president. And so it's like really ironic to me, like there could be an interview in CNN in 40 years where it's like, all right, Mr. Dorian, like, you're the president. And he's like, oh, what's the most, and he'd be like, I told my dad I was going to be a football player. He laughed at me. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I get it, man. I get it. Like the way that story usually goes is, my dad laughed at me, and then I went out and I trained and I proved him wrong, and now I'm a Super Bowl champion. Blah, 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 blah. When as a parent, like that is one narrative, right? That's one way it could go. But the other way it could go would be like, well, wait a minute. What is my passion? Because I trust what dad has to say, and he never bullshits us. So what is my passion? Yeah. And he, and so like, there's that element of it too. But this guy, obviously, that wasn't the experience he had with his mom in particular. It looked to me that he resented his mother for being so religious and unsupportive of his dream to be a musician, and he's really hurt by that, especially considering like, why were you more loyal to your religion than me, type of thing. Very, very, it's heartbreaking stuff. Heartbreaking stuff.
I think the other thing too is that parents end up, like driving their kids all over the freaking place, dropping them off here, dropping them off there to do mediocre stuff that the kids are not even that interested in, but you're doing it. And like, if you have a kid that's passionate about what he's doing and you're supporting them in their passion, then it's exciting for everybody because you don't feel like you're wasting your time either. Just zooming all over town, trying to get everybody all of these experiences that they don't really want, and then you got to fight them on that, fight them on the homework, fight them on the this, try to get, you know what I mean? Like, why? For what? Like, I love the way that we do that, where it's like, okay, if you're interested in it, like, I'm willing to work beside you. I've brought them to, different stuff and set them up for different things, but like, we're doing what we're excited about here, and it's really cool to see how far people can go when they're actually into something. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think like, it's counterintuitive, but these parents that say, oh yeah, you can do anything, it puts a child in such a horrible situation. Because now the kid is like, oh shit, mom said I could do it, and all these other people say no, and like, that's the first time you realize that you don't really have it like that. And that's a hell of a situation to put a kid in. Like, that's how he finds out. Like, that's not cool. Like, my kids are never going to be in that situation as a parent. So I said, hell no, you ain't doing shit over there, boy. Go ahead. I said, man, go ahead. But y'all ain't doing nothing. Was I right or wrong?
No, you were absolutely right.
I was 100,000%
Well, I mean, I knew it too, but it was one of those things where, like, I saw a situation like that play out, and the people would just keep encouraging. It was clear and obvious that the person was never going to be able to do. That looks really cool. It was clear and obvious that the person was never going to be able to do what it was that they thought that they were going to do, and everybody saw it. But for some reason, this person was very deluded and thought that they were. Like, they never did. They never accomplished it. They could hardly even keep a job. So it's like, it would have been better probably just to have said, no, this is not going to happen for you.
And here's why.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Like, here are the logical logical reasons for why that's an unrealistic thing to do. And then here's how you can amend that.
Yeah, it's hard, I think, is for a parent to, especially if you're from the idea of, encourage them completely and just let them go. And it's hard to like turn that corner and say, you're not going to be able to accomplish. Like that's not, but it's not like, it was so practical. Like when you were saying it, it was like, look, these people spend their lives exercising. They're like in the heat all the time. So they have all this time to like, the fields are basically always open. Like you're in a state, you've lived your entire life basically in a state that only has a little span of time where you can be outside, even actually doing your cardio.
Yeah.
So yeah. I'm going to give this one a 9.4. What do you give it?
Let's see what Vano says. I wish I had parents that brought me up into a family business. They all have jobs and I never did. I just took up alcohol. Well, we're glad you're here. So stick around, huh, Vanu? I just lost somebody pretty important to me relative to alcohol. So try not to be so hard on yourself, my boy. Get the help you need. Get the meds you need if you need meds. And start over.
And start counting those sober days.
Simple. Okay. My bad, Hunter. I should have texted you. All right. What'd you give the song?
I gave this one a 9.4.
Jet said, I'll probably end up the president. Inshallah. Yeah. Dorian will be the president. Jet, you will be his excellent vice president. And you will be a way better vice president than...
Moving right
9.6 for me. What'd you give it?
9.4.
All right. We're going to be on the other side of the break.
One more song.
Un más música. See you on the other side of the break. Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.